Art Loft is brought to you by
Where there is freedom, there is expression. The Florida Keys and Key West.
the Miami-Dade County Tourist Development Council, the Miami-Dade County Department of Cultural Affairs, and the Cultural Affairs Council, the Miami-Dade County Mayor, and the Board of County Commissioners, and the Friends of South Florida PBS.
Art Loft. It's the pulse of what's happening in our own backyard, as well as a taste of the arts across the United States.
The beauty of interactive work is that you get a different work of art every time you open your door.
In this episode, the art is immersive, it's interactive, and it often takes the viewer to activate the pieces.
Are you in the 80s? Are you in the 70s? Or is this fantasy? Or is it both? Mickalene Thomas was inspired by one single Polaroid that she found that belonged to her mother. And the Polaroid referenced parties that she would have in the late 70s and beginnings of the 80s. It was almost like a timestamp. She was looking at the 70s, 80s style, but also looking at a very specific history that belonged to the artist. Better Nights very directly refers to her mother and memories of her mother in a very personal way. Her mother was doing the parties to raise money for sickle cell anemia. It's this metaphor of a community coming together for a good cause. And I think that is really, the exhibition is an homage to her mother and how that happened. And now Mickalene is bringing together the community for a good cause as well. I'm Sylvia Carmen Cubina. I'm Executive Director and Chief Curator of the BAS. I like to say that Better Nights really is like walking into one of Mickalene Thomas's paintings. The BAS is recently looking for immersive experiences and artists that are willing to work with the public and bring them into their works of art and sort of make it whole that way. Mickalene Thomas, when she presented this to me, she said it's a social space. It's a space that not only other artists show in, it's a space where I want the public to come in and interact and share moments and sort of activate the space. Better Nights kind of opens up to us with this collage, which is called Jet Blue number 13, but it picks up sort of her very characteristic way of creating collages and also paintings, but even Better Nights. As you can see, the wallpaper seems to sort of pick itself off the wall and continue on to the work of art, but also you can see sort of wooden areas that I see sort of in there, and it also picks up the floor. So it's all this patterns, and you can see Mickalene Thomas's very characteristic women of color, so black women in her work, and posing sort of like I am beautiful and I am bold and here I am, and all those wonderful qualities. Then you walk into the gallery where she's invited all her friends. Most of these works, and we realized it as we were installing, are figurative works. So a lot of them are portraits or self-portraits of people, and many of them people of color. That's something that is very, very present in her work. So this is almost like a 3D rendition of a painting with the portraits, with the textures, and with the different spaces. The video selection room is also many different works of art. The bar area with 6 different Mickalene Thomas works of art. It functions as a whole, but it also functions in different little parts. It's very multidisciplinary. Not only did she invite artists to participate, she also invited musicians and performers to be part of this whole adventure. Interactive art, it is wonderful once it's being done, but it presents lots of challenges for museums. We are museum professionals, and we're trained to receive objects and take care of them and almost put them on a shelf or on a pedestal, literally. And bringing in an interactive art, you have to accept the public, which you don't know if they're going to sit on a furniture, stand on a furniture. You really don't know what is going to happen, and that is a little bit of the beauty and the challenge of it. So all throughout planning this project, we kept saying, okay, this is an art exhibition. We have to do condition reports on the works of art and put them on the wall. Oh, but wait, this is also a bar. So people are going to be dancing on this dance floor and it's going to get scratched up. But we want it to get scratched up. So it's a little bit of a tug of war, and it really puts museums at a tension point, good tension point, where you're always examining, okay, why do we exist? Do we exist for the objects? Yes, but we also exist for the guests. And how do we balance that out? The beauty of interactive work is that you get a different work of art every time you open your door.
To find out more about this exhibit and others at the Bass, check out their Instagram at the Bass MOA.
I'm Brian Whiteley, and I run Satellite Art Show. It's an art fair in Miami, and I'm the founder and director. We are in John Gomez's Chicano-themed tattoo parlor. John is an artist based in LA, and he comes from a lot of the culture there that mixes kind of like lowbrow, highbrow, and Latin culture. Right now with the live tattoo that I'm getting, that same type of idea where art can be this highbrow, lowbrow, art for the people. You can leave from this fair with a tattoo, artwork on your body, buy a painting, experience immersive rooms and artworks and installations. So we basically are trying to provide opportunity for people to have access to art without feeling like you have to just be a collector. We have about 30 projects in here. Each one attracts you into the space and provides with some different type of engagement. Artists like Kyle Heinle from Florida, who is an artist with been battling cerebral palsy since he was a child, who found art as a therapy. Beautiful works. And we have other artists like Carla Maldonado, who is from Brazil, who deals with like the deforestation and the rainforest and climate change. Juan Bravo from New York, where you are literally flying through space. Inflatable objects that will inflate and contrast based on your presence next to them. Mirrored rooms, 3D map rooms from an artist named Holly Danger, and it's a lounge area. It's kind of like a therapy and a calming area for you to experience and soak in all of the visuals that you are getting impacted with. The work here is from a wide variety of people with different backgrounds, and what I've been trying to do with them is propel them to kind of make these spaces the most exaggerated form of what their artwork can be and should be. And so the diversity of backgrounds and culture and where their experiences are coming from can be heightened when you add this immersive element to it. And people can really get saturated in this one person or this one artist idea that they want to convey to you, as well as you're typically going to meet the artist or the person behind the work instead of just someone just trying to simply do maybe an art sale. So people have really interesting and in-depth conversations about where their practice is, where their ideas come from, and they leave this art fair feeling like they've learned something valuable or learned more about culture.
My name is Carla Maldonado, and I'm a Brazilian artist. To me, this work is pretty much me going back to this romantic idea of what the Amazon forest was, but at the same time getting to know that the only way that this forest is going to stay alive is if these indigenous activists have the power to keep doing the work that they do for humanity. Everything that we need right now is coming from 60% of the remaining rainforest that it's now in Brazil and it's endangered. The newspapers, the news are actually like the current news that I've been dealing with for the past few months. The act of like printing them, putting them on the wall, just putting a red blinking light is just trying to remind people that this is still happening.
Museums are coming here to see what's next and who to pick up and who to show. And I think that's a testament to what we're doing, is that we're trying to build a platform for where the art world can go in the future, not what's happened in the past. We have something for everybody. So when they come to the fair, they have this experience where they feel included. There's something for you there. And that's, I think, the magic of it.
Have you ever done an interview while you got a tattoo?
That's a definite no.
Head to youtube.com/WPBT2 to check out the art show in 360.
My name is Evan Snow. I'm one of the co-founders and managing partners of Art Fort Lauderdale, the art fair on the water.
I'm Andrew Martineau, co-founder of Art Fort Lauderdale and also the curatorial director for this fair.
We never had a signature 4-day art fair in Fort Lauderdale or even in Broward County. So we decided to create a revolutionary art fair taking place exclusively inside luxury waterfront homes made only accessible via boat.
You're really on a curated experience. We're really kind of looking at like how people experience work within an environment of a group of people that you're with for the entire journey. We really kind of like calm the whole experience down as opposed to it being very hectic.
One of the really unique things is having the art in the homes versus a traditional tent or convention center. Even for a savvy art patron, most people get art fatigue going to these art fairs.
So within this environment, we're able to actually place work in the place where it will eventually live and where people would kind of like see it every day. We've kind of placed the pieces, you know, in the bathroom above the bathtub or in the bedroom above the bedhead.
We are a primarily independent artist-driven art fair. It's so tough for an independent artist not represented by a gallery to exhibit in a major fair. The barrier to entry is so high, it's thousands of dollars, and if you're even represented by a gallery. So we made it inclusive, so artists of any level, emerging, established, local, national, international, or otherwise, can exhibit on our county's largest platform. One of the main focal points with the art fair is each home is a different exhibit.
As we start selecting the works for the fair, we kind of match the works with the homes that we're going to be in. So this home that we're in right now is more of a modern contemporary home, recently built, and we wanted to have a lot of bright light and bright colors kind of coming through. And a lot of the work kind of represents a lot of that. A lot of the work's also very modern contemporary pieces.
So we have 3 homes this year serving as our exhibit locations, 2 of which are independent artist exhibitions for artists not represented by a gallery. We also are very excited to have added a Bahamas House exhibition benefiting the Grand Bahamas Children's House, which was unfortunately damaged by Hurricane Dorian, with a portion of proceeds so that they can help rebuild and actually resume their art programs, which unfortunately they had to put on pause as a result of the hurricane.
I'm Jennifer Nyack. I'm welcoming you to Bahamas House. I am a collector and I'm a curator and I'm an arts and culture writer. I know these artists personally and I was devastated to find out that so many of my favorite galleries that I like to go to were closing. So the artwork in this room is Laurie Tuchel. She's a Grand Bahamian based artist. She uses a lot of layering effect with her colors and she paints a lot of day in the life scenes. So these are actual moments. So this is an example of the Junkanoo pieces that were sent over from Grand Bahama. One thing that's interesting about the Bahamas is that all of the materials that artists use are shipped in. So you have to use the most basic things. And when you look and see how they used, this artist used recycled lawn material. I think this might even be like a child's chair. They use staples, masking tape, glue, and paint. And if you feel the weight of this, it is about 20 pounds, 25 pounds. Imagine dancing through the streets wearing this on your head. These are handed down generation from generation, year after year, because the artistry is so good, but also the engineering. Caroline Anderson's work is really probably my most poignant and my most important and expressive from my post-hurricane pieces that were given to me. These talk about the destruction and the experience of going through the hurricane. This is what Hurricane Dorian looked like to her.
The social interaction, I think, is super important to get more people being able to appreciate work.
You get time to reflect and think about the work you just saw on your boat journey as you go from home to home. It's a really true discovery experience where you're gonna find artists that you might not have found anyplace else.
The Art Fair on the Water also exhibits online. Visit artfortlauderdale.com and click the link at the top.
Basically, when I saw like the high ceilings, I was like, what can I do here? Like, what if I do like a box of puppets? It's pretty much like a puppeteer show. My name is Julian Pardo. I'm a guest curator here at Pompano Beach Cultural Center.
And I'm Aurora Molina. I'm an artist from Miami. Julian called me and he said there's a space, and I'm very open to always collaborate. He's a dear friend of mine, so we said, okay, let's tell me about the space. We considered that we wanted to do an interactive installation. My grandmother was a seamstress, so all my craft, all that attachment to the thread also brought in part of the, the making of the work. So I think it comes from a personal exploration to dealing with my grandparents. I started to do a photography series, sort of like capturing their daily routine. And then I left to Spain to do my master's, and I sort of like started to pay attention since I was away. And they were 90, 92. And I think I was getting ready to sort of let go. My family had been very conscious about taking care of them, so they were with us at home and very involved. And when I left, I think I had that longing, like they were left behind. And I remember just, looking around and having this moment where I was realizing how detached we were. And I was traveling to other places, and I kept paying attention to the elder.
I connect with her as well. I live with my grandpa for like 10 years in my house. So all that like connections makes everything like, okay, let's do something that we can show the people to look up for the elders. My idea was like to create this pulley system where they can move each one of the hands, so like a group of hands. So it's more collaborative. It's more like connecting the family, connecting the elders with your dad or your mom, just looking at you or just play with you in each one of them.
And also the fact that you make them come alive. Like we have this idea, there's two components to a puppet. There is a puppeteer and the puppet. The puppet does not come to life unless the puppeteer plays a role into it. So it was part of like creating that connection. In general, the idea of the whole show, the whole concept, wanted to create that interactive approach and bringing them to life. And second, it's to keep the conversation going. Conceptually, it's like instead of looking at them, You have to look up to them, because that was the purpose of making them 8 feet tall. So you literally are looking up to them.
I started to study what kind of population is around this center. Most like it is Haitian people, Latin American, they speak different languages. So one of my ideas is to reach more to those communities. I translated to Spanish, English, and Creole. So that's why we have the text on those 3 languages.
But I think the text and the simplicity of the graphics and the simplicity of the walls, at the eye level, also makes you look up and pay more attention and just wonder. I mean, it's also the softness of the fabric, that tenderness of something that we all have a relationship to. We all are covered with fabric, so that was also important. I think a work of art needs to be open-ended. Not everyone comes in knowing precisely the concept of the work and understanding there's a narrative behind it, other than being a pretty picture. All these ideas should spike your curiosity.
To see the latest exhibits and events happening at the Pompano Beach Cultural Center, visit their website.
まあ、女性の顔を描いても描いても描き尽くせないというか、いろんな表情というかいろんな見え方がするので、例えばまあ能面、日本で能面ってありますけど、それと一緒でこちらの感情次第でいろんな形に見えるという女性像を描いているつもりなので、いくら描いても飽きないというか。
I'm not shy. I'm dealing with beauty. I love to paint beauty, and I paint very loose in the beginning, and then it's become more sharp.
Ichiro's paintings are more like two-dimensional. He freezes beautiful women's faces on his paintings, and Ozeri's work is more like photograph or video because he freezes beauty in his paintings. Ichiro Tsuruta, we call him as a contemporary Bizinga painter, so he carries on the same tradition.
それでずっと仕事をしてたんですけど、26、7歳の頃にどんどん日本的なものが好きになったり、自分が一番描きたかったのはやっぱり美しい女性、浮世絵とかそういったものの美人画を描きたかったので、そこ26歳ぐらいから僕の美人画の歴史はスタートしてます。
Bizinga is the term, genetic term used in Edo period, is 17th to 19th century. And I'm talking of Bizinga. And that time, there was no photography, so Bizinga back then was a pin-up photograph or paintings.
とてもこう渋い色合いになってしまうんですけど、そこをこう逆転させて、手法はフラットでもあるんだけど、日本画のつもりですけど、ビビッドな色を使うことによって新しい世界が生まれないかと思ってやっております。
Ichiro Tsuruta's work is very mysterious because of the face. Those women they live in his mind. They're completely fantasy. We don't know what's under their beautiful faces, and we call masks. And so we want to find out more about them. Iga Ozeri, he is an Israeli artist. His work is we call Western style Bizinga. He uses celebrities sometimes, and one of them is Lizzie Jagger, Mick Jagger's daughter. He picks women who speak to the public, who is influential women.
I think portrait is the most holy things that people could do, you know, in the art world, you know. And it's a big responsibility to paint a portrait. It's not easy things. I don't think young artists understand what is a portrait. Many of them paint portrait, but it's a really holy thing that, and you need a lot of experiment in your life to say, okay, I will paint a portrait.
His painting is called photorealism painting. He takes pictures of beautiful women, his models, and then he paints from the photographs. So that's his process of making art. He says that when he realized those beautiful women onto his paintings, he captures his model's beauty forever.
During the histories, was always surprised how different artists paint women, you know? And that's a challenge because in a subject matter, when everybody do that, you have to be very unique, and if not, you're out of the game.
Art Loft is brought to you by
Where there is freedom, there is expression. The Florida Keys and Key West.
the Miami-Dade County Tourist Development Council, the Miami-Dade County Department of Cultural Affairs, and the Cultural Affairs Council, the Miami-Dade County Mayor, and the Board of County Commissioners, and the Friends of South Florida PBS.